Hey, hello. It's Skycatlive. What's up, guys? Oh, my cat doesn't like the bells. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop now, kitty. Don't worry. Don't worry. It is Thursday, 8:10 in the evening on 7:10. I started a video today, but Windows sucked dick and just completely screwed my video today, and I couldn't get a monitor connected, and it just erased my video like usual. Software developers and tortious negligence and terrible problems caused by them and all this. Just moving forward, I'm restarting the video, and I'm gonna turn down the sound a little bit. We're gonna get the microphone a little bit more situated. Yep, and going live here at 8 p.m. It's been a long day. I slept 16 hours today for some reason because I was wiped out and my back hurt. And sanded some walls today, and then I watered the garden, and I waited around for an Apple iWatch to be delivered, and I got my Apple iWatch today, but I've got to sync it, and I don't remember the information. I've got to worry about that. And we're recording right now. I'm not live because I want to just begin the introduction and get it out of the way. And that's all I have for you. I'm just going to pause this, and I'm cooking dinner right now, so I got to go check my dinner and stuff, but I haven't gone live yet. I'm just pausing this video so I can go live and record whenever I want to. So trying to get the introduction out of the way. Going to drop it off the big face. Thank you so much, guys. Going to be playing some video games like some Rust and some Eve and some FFXI today. And I'm going to drop it off the big face. Here we go. Seems good. I'm going to pause. And, And that's all we have. Stir this beef. Wadded beef. Smells good. Yeah, let's mix it all together here. Smells good. Nice. Some stuff. Okay. This will now steam well. Hey, you back again? Oh, good kitty. Move, kitty. Move. Yeah, move down just a little bit. There we go. Excuse me. Okay. So now we go live. Hello. Hello, kitty. I love you. Yes. Oh, purr. I've seen some smoke rise, so I'm just going to go address that real quick. No, it's just steam, huh? Good. I am going to stir it. Sorry, I gotta move you again. I know I keep moving you. I'm sorry, babe. I just need you out of my way. That's all. Sorry. I know I'm rude. I move you out of the way before you get out of the way from me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Hi, I love you. Yeah. Hello, guys. Good day. Good afternoon. It's been a long day, and I lost my video, and I'm finally getting the stream started again 8 hours later after doing a whole bunch of stupid stuff in the real life. I got an Apple Watch today, but it's charging. And then, there we go. I don't remember my login, which is annoying. $7.43. Shouldn't I have more than that? Yeah, I should. Oh, well. Oh, per kitty. I'm going to put you on the camera. Oh, the kitty's the real star. Skycatlive. This cat is live. Ooh, and she's purring up a storm. Very good. And then I will log. I'm not going to log yet, but I'm going to eat dinner and watch this video. And I just wanted to put the kitty on the video for a little bit. I believe it is dinner time now. Yeah, that smelled pretty good. All right, kitty, I'm going to move you again. I'm so sorry, babe. But I got to go worry about dinner. Okay, for this meal. This bowl. I like this bowl. Okay, we're done. Oh yeah. Quite good. Okay, sorry about that, kitty. I'm gonna turn on this thing. Nice airflow going. Very good. Now, or I don't know. I guess the fan is kind of loud. I guess I'll just turn it off. That's all right. So let's watch this video about baby boomers while I eat dinner. Sounds good. Beef bologna or some bolognese, something. I forget what it's called.
Classes met wherever there was room, even in barber shops. The baby boomers were stressing the entire system. But this was hardest on the teachers. Overworked and underpaid, just when we needed more of them, many teachers were quitting.
With deep regret, I hereby submit my resignation as a teacher in the school system for the forthcoming year. For reasons?
Teachers tried to keep control of classrooms of 30 to 60 students and were forced to spend more and more of their time just being disciplinarians.
Keeping discipline has become one of the biggest chores of the crowded classroom.
And those that persevered resorted to teaching their huge classes of students by rote.
And so, to control the crowd, to hold their attention, Miss Roberts was forced to return to whole group instruction, teaching the mass instead of the individual, teaching by rote.
1, 2, 3, 4. Put your feet on the floor. 1, 2.
Teaching no longer stimulating to the pupils or the teacher.
The slow learners aren't getting the attention they need, and the bright ones are bored.
And it gets worse every day. But for the time being, we've got to live with it, doing the best job we can.
Yup.
Even if it's a bad job.
All we can do for the present is try the best we know how.
March 2nd, 1958.
To leave no stone unturned in our self-examination, leaders traveled to Russia to look at their educational system, to see what they were doing that was different. What we found shocked us.
30 years ago, we had 6 times as many scientists and engineers as the Soviet Union. Now their colleges are turning out twice as many technical people this year as ours are.
In the Soviet time, the science was a priority in the society.
Son of Nikita Khrushchev. Wow.
It was not
Sergei
always,
Khrushchev.
On not the rich man. It was no rich man there. It was, you have to be scientist.
We learned that Russian kids went to school 6 days a week. That their school year was 213 days long compared to 180 days in America.
Oh no.
That every Russian kid, boy and girl, was required to take math and engineering. Russian students had up to 4 hours of homework a night, where the average in America was
I swear to God, the Russian white male is threatened by the American white male is threatened by the Russian female because they can do math and stuff.
just 30 minutes.
Valentina went to space first.
The top-notch minds are attracted to the physical sciences and mathematics. Their skills are so highly valued that no expense is spared in providing them with excellent technical facilities.
Take something like the Russian satellite to put the finger on what's wrong with our education.
We need scientists, we need technicians, we need mathematicians. There's no doubt about that.
The community's awake now. I think they're going to try to do something. They're all excited about science and math. I mean, it's been taken for granted for so long. Now, suddenly, it's back in the spotlight again.
Education was in the spotlight, and the lessons we took away from the Soviet system were plain and simple.
We got to do something, and we need an educated population in science to be able to do this. And it was like somebody slammed on the accelerator, and all of a sudden, everything was open for discussion and examination.
We've come face to face with the realization that schools and survival are inseparable.
Yup.
The time has come for a change.
We have to reorganize our schools.
Within just months of the failure of Vanguard, America began to do something remarkable, something that few other nations would have been capable of. We began to come together, to become unified in our determination to fix what was broken.
We don't have an adequate education program in any of our schools.
Are you satisfied? Are you really satisfied that your school and your community is doing all that it can do for these youth?
Thousands of children are getting a shoddy education. The time has come for America to realize that our citadel now is the intelligence, imagination, and curiosity of the trained mind. The American people must improve their public schools to make the nation strong, to meet whatever threat may come.
Each citizen should do what he can to strengthen American education, to make the position...
Gotta put the rest of my dinner away. I couldn't eat it all. And it was like $4. I love it. Good meal. Okay, now that I've eaten, I can think and drink. Hello, kitty.
And prestige of the teacher understood in the community. This I think they can do and they must do.
We were on a national mission.
Hi.
A mission that is today referred to as the Sputnik moment.
The search for an education which will develop the full potentiality of every boy and girl.
We had to find the resources to pay teachers, and we needed to enlist more of them. The number of students per class had to be reduced. More buildings had to be built. And the techniques teachers used to teach kids had to change radically. And change they did.
Yes, Jack, the vacation will soon be over, and you'll be going back to school.
When students returned to their schools in the fall of 1958, what they found was very different from what had been there before. The pressure was on. Americans were redesigning their entire educational system and asking students to take their studies much more seriously for the defense of the country.
We used to laugh and say, well, you know, the Russians might have launched Sputnik, but the United States is launching us. because of all of these new programs that were in the school, and we all just jumped into it.
It was just like an avalanche, because the response of the United States was to institute this huge science and technology enrichment program.
In every classroom and in every course of study, a focus on science, engineering, and math was being encouraged.
Yeah.
Science is fun. It helps
Farting
you
is
to
fun.
learn, to know and to appreciate. In the study of science is found the most useful and satisfying knowledge of man.
People were encouraged to take physics and geometry and chemistry.
And there was an immense importance placed on this, almost a stigma if you were going into those things.
Yeah.
An atmosphere which removes the egghead stigma. Scholastic achievement is now recognized and respected by both students and adults.
How do I get high grades? I work for them. I'm not going to school just to put in time. I want to be somebody.
And it was all heavy-duty, college prep, mathematically based. We're going to train scientists. And the curriculum went that way. The courses became very difficult. It was a revolution. It's going to be tough.
We were just loaded down with all kinds of books and new classes and homework.
For many years, I've just been able to drift through school. I never did homework until my junior year in high school, and then all of a sudden I was hit with this, and it sort of rocked me.
It used to be, I could get through chemistry and physics. You know, you could slide through. The coach will let me through. But it wasn't that way anymore. All of a sudden it was like they were looking for something.
What did you get in chemistry? I had a 79. Oh, Marco, you've got to get those grades up. You expect to go to college? What are you going to major in? I hope to major in science. Science? And with the grades that you've been getting in science? Listen, Ted, is football interfering with your studying? I hope not, Coach. You must have those grades up, definitely. It's either studies and football or just studies alone.
Sports mattered less. Science mattered more.
Why study science? Study science because you and Betty and the Nancys and Bills and Joes and Janes all over the country will find in the study of science a richer, more rewarding life.
The National Science Foundation came out with a whole science and math program. There were enrichment classes for mathematics and physics and chemistry. And I was just caught up with all that.
Science had been defined with a small s. In biology, this meant dissecting frogs. In mathematics, learning a series of equations. The same with physics. Now, science was broadening. In every area of study, a focus on science was becoming a critical part of what students
for science,
so that you can heal the sick, so that you can build the bridges and buildings and highways of tomorrow, so that you can teach, inspire, and encourage those who come after you. All these and more require a basic knowledge of science.
Science.
A course that boys took.
The new magic.
Had changed. Here's how it was.
It's fun to do things that come out right.
Here's what it became.
Here, the task is to build a transformer and test its application to electromagnetic principles.
A course that girls took, home economics, had changed. Here's how it was.
Home would be a minor tragedy.
Here's what it became.
In home economics, the girls plan nutritious and economical menus. Arranging different food budgets, they check prices.
Oh, girls do food budgets. Yeah, that's their job. That's what they were taught in high school.
In newspaper advertisements.
Educators were changing the basic ways that students learned.
We're attempting to find out how to use teachers best, most effectively in the classrooms.
Students who previously learned by repetition and memorization were being pushed to think for themselves.
A good teacher challenging students to think for themselves.
Individualized studies now demanded work at home that took more time and concentration. Parents were telling their children that it was each student's responsibility to grow into a useful adult, to become an engineer, a scientist, a mathematician, or
9,000.
doctor. And finally, women were being encouraged to become scientists.
Judy Messer, future lab technician.
Because of
Mary Lewis, likes
Valentina.
science, and who knows? Celia Mortimer, fascinated by nuclear physics and hopes to make it a career.
Now it seemed to be important to be a scientist and an engineer and get in on all this work that was going on.
Today, students carry their interest in science lessons beyond the four walls of the classroom. They see the need to understand the complex scientific ideas of the world around them.
Teachers focus boys and girls on scientific ways to examine life, inside and also outside the classroom.
Students take part in science programs, science clubs. They go on field trips, see films about science. A wide world of science waiting for investigation.
Science.
The ultimate do-it-yourself project from the home workshop of 16-year-old Kurt Golden, Arthur the Robot.
Individual American kids by the thousands began to create science projects on their own.
Hey.
16. The idea, a device for printing a spoken letter. A challenging idea. He went to his science teacher to outline his theories, his plans, and his problems.
Don Delaney, he wants to be an electronics engineer. Right now, he's building his own rocket.
More and more teenagers are passing up rock and roll for a rocket roll. At Camp AP Hill, Virginia, the Army plays host to some guest rocket experts. Amateurs, teenagers all. More than 100 high school boys showed up on the firing range with rockets designed and built by themselves.
Rocket boys, as they were called, to beat the Russians, were going to try and build and launch homemade rockets.
I started
Oh,
mixing
the sunset.
my own homemade
Damn
rocket
it.
fuel. My mother was very supportive of my experiments. She gave me a piece of her vacuum cleaner extension, and I had some fins that I cut out of sheet metal, welded to these things. I made nozzles.
What did her
out of
vacuum
plaster
cleaner
Paris,
have to do with it?
And would take them out into the desert and launch these things. They really weren't rockets. They were pipe bombs with fins. It's amazing I didn't kill myself. They were very, very dangerous. But I was just completely...
Yeah, I did that once when I was like 13, yeah. That's a really big memory for you, isn't it?
As high as I possibly could. I had 2-stage rockets. My goal was to...
Yeah, model rocket engines are great, yeah. Sure.
This is one of my early rocket experiments. Notice the plaster of Paris bulkhead, welded steel fins, plaster of Paris nozzle.
Now I make missiles for the G.
Friends that had been my friends all my whole life, and we decided we're going to form a club called the Big Creek Missile Agency, and we're going to build rockets. We had absolutely no clue on how to do this. We started to really research rockets. We read everything we possibly could. Our teacher, Miss Riley, got involved, and she got us a book called Principles of Guided Missile Design, which required a working knowledge of calculus and differential equations, and I was having trouble with algebra at the time. We blew up a lot of things. We dodged a lot of shrapnel. Ultimately, we ended up building professional-style rockets that were flying literally miles into the sky. We just felt someday what we were doing was going to help the United States to be #1 in space. We wanted our country to catch up with the Russians, and then we wanted to just keep on going forever.
The Sputnik moment was provoking amazing changes. And one of the most important changes took place when Congress, pushed by Americans of all stripes, provided a massive increase in funding. Science, math, and engineering education would receive an infusion of more than $1 billion, with huge amounts of financial aid provided for scholarships so that students could attend colleges and graduate schools.
The
Did I
government
step
put
on your
a
tail,
tremendous
kitty?
amount of money into revamping the physics and chemistry, and the new texts came out, the new courses came out, lab manuals, all paid for by the government.
And a whole series of national scholarships were announced, and money was flowing into universities for the purpose of getting kids into that arena, and I was one of the fortunate ones.
The new law was called the National Defense Education Act. The name made clear the connection that everyone felt. Education was critical to our national defense.
We can no longer depend on air power, whether it be bombers or guided missiles. We must depend on brain power. We must depend on the ability of our educational institutions to cultivate that brain power so that it may be used as well as it possibly can be.
Through the years, we've taken education for granted, have even grown neglectful. All around us, things have been changing, and now, suddenly, schools have a lot to do with national security and our survival. Now there's trouble. And we realize that the trouble is with brains.
Now there's trouble.
And technology.
If this nation should unfortunately be called upon to defend itself, the real frontline soldier would be the scientist with the test tube and the Geiger counter.
The National Defense Education Act created thousands of high school science laboratories with tools that went way beyond the traditional microscope.
By the use of a videotape recorder and a kinescope, we are able to provide many film clips, many kinds of materials that are just not available to the classroom teacher.
New funding brought television to the classroom. And television brought the world to students and connected students to the world.
Involvement? Interest? Judge for yourself. These boys are at Cape Canaveral, helping with the countdown of another rocket. The excitement heightens, but a clever science teacher has turned this program into a lesson in propulsion, gravity, and atmospherics.
Language labs utilizing electronic apparatus and modern theories of learning are especially important.
Gone were the studies of Latin and Greek. In addition to French and German, new language laboratories now taught Russian and Chinese.
Universities who had never taught Russian before were encouraged to institute Russian courses. And in that first year after 1957, there were more people applying to learn Russian in this country than I'd ever seen before.
The Sputnik moment had provoked an amazing time in America.
Russians
Thanks
are
to the
awesome.
National Defense Education Act
So are
scholarships,
Ukrainians.
Millions of men and women went to college to study
So are all the
scientific
countries
and
around them.
technical courses. They went on to attack problems and uncover opportunities in every area of life. And they initiated American-led revolutions in electronics, computer science, psychology, environmental and earth sciences, and they created and built the internet.
The idea of building this network and being able to share resources and to interact with each other remotely and get programs to talk to each other was enormously fascinating. It was very exciting.
Newspapers, magazines, mail, and messages will be sent through the air at lightning speed and reproduced in the home.
Oh, kitty.
The space race that began with Sputnik ended in July 1969, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. America had caught up and won. That race was now over. But what about today? And more importantly, tomorrow? Is there another Sputnik waiting for us ahead? Perhaps just around the corner? Or perhaps is it already here? Today, in many ways, America again leads the world. But as the old saying goes, those who do not remember history are bound to repeat its mistakes. It pays for us to reconsider the Sputnik moment and how every American felt a need to take personal responsibility and to act.
There's a base right here. Oh no, there's like zombies and stuff. No. Fuck! Come on, man. So annoying. Oh boy, am I gonna find this kid again? Probably not. But I don't know, I'm gonna follow the fucking lines and where I thought I was. I'm sure it's over here somewhere. Finding the body again is probably, chances are like nil, I'd say, unless I straight run across it by mistake. Which is what I'm hoping to do. I'm like, I know that there's a base that I wandered by. I was like, oh, I'm parked at a base? There was the base I saw. And I ran this way when I aggroed these guys. So, yeah, I think I died somewhere over here. Fuck knows if I'll ever see the body again. There was nothing in there that was super worth anything, but it would be nice if I could recover. There's a boat. So yeah, I probably won't ever see this body again, which is unfortunate. Because I don't know why I was out there in the middle of the night. I don't think I had anything super precious except for some tools. Maybe an elevated position might help me see it. So I'm like looking around for a bag or a body. Looking around for a bag or a body. I see pigs, and that kind of like does indicate that I was in this area, but I don't see the bag. I see pigs. But I don't see the bag. Yeah, I don't know. The likelihood of finding the bag again is probably 0, frankly. And I lost 30 fuel and some metal and wood, but I mean, it's really nothing I can't replace. I didn't have a kit, which is good. Or no, I did. I had that vampire kit I pulled. I don't know. Maybe I can find it. I don't know. Oh, maybe that's it? No, those are stones. I think the pig killed me right around here. But I just don't see the bag. Gonna climb that thing and see if I see the bag. Pop jumped. Just gonna have a look. Oh, yep, cool. The resting dead, nice. I don't know where I was in relationship to all of this, and I don't think I can get any higher on this thing. But I am elevated, and I'm looking around for a bag. I don't think I saw the base. But I did see a bright light along the water. Yeah, who knows where this is now? I really don't know. So whatever, I'm going to call it like a lost kit. Think I'm going to pop in 7 Days to Die. Because one of those things about this is I can just write it off as a loss and be like, I'll come back tomorrow. I'm part close to these guys, though, so I'm going to move. I didn't realize how close I was to them. I don't mind losing a kit. Hey, kitty. Brown? Yeah. Well, hello. Oh, purr. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, I'm going to move because there's 2 nasty-ass bases really close to me. And I'm just going to leave because I guess I'm in their territory, sort of. Get off. Sorry, you were sitting on my keyboard, kitty. Yeah, you, kitty. You were sitting on my keyboard. Yeah, you. I'm paying attention to you. You silly kitty. I don't ever want to be near a fishing village because they can just submarine me with a stack of like 1,000 scrap, which isn't that much on this server. Oh, I have turbo. I'm going to turn it on. It's annoying I lost those kits. I don't think I have replacement tools. I don't. Which is so dumb. At least it was only the metal set. The river serves me. Yeah, I'm really not close to anybody over by here. I don't go any further, though, or I'll probably... oh, there's somebody in the sky over there. It's a scarecrow. Maybe I'll go further. Two fishing villages really close to each other. Oh, kitty, it's okay. Wait, what's that? Yeah, hey. Hey, you want some love? Yeah, you can have it. You can get it, kitty. You got some love. You know I love you. Oh, you caused me to dismount for some reason. Whoa. Yeah. There's another whole network, crazy network of bases and stuff. It's weird how many people are here for like 3 pop. Didn't it say 22 people earlier today? It did. And it's like down to 17 because he banned 5 or something like that. I wonder if I stress out this admin just by being here. All I want to do is ride a tugboat. It's not my fault the game's all toxic and shitty. Oh, hi, kitty. You smell all clean like somebody washed you. Yeah, your fur smells like shampoo. Did my mom wash you? There we go. I'm going to go way the fuck out. Like that direction. This is a good spot. Okay, it was good game. I lost a set, but that's okay. It was pitch black. You know, whatever. We're going to go to GeForce The Ascent. I remember that game, yeah. Yeah, what do I play? There's so many good games. Skull and Bones. Yeah, I'll play some Skull and Bones. Crafton is facing a lawsuit over Subnautica 2. Architect. It's not you, it's your environment. F this janky ass game. End of an era. It's not looking good for South Park. This got a lot of views.
South Park is not in a good place right now. There's so much going on, I don't even know where to begin. There have been lawsuits, more lawsuits, delays, and censorship, but the worst part is that the fans of South Park are the ones really getting the short end of the stick. The big corporate entities behind all of this have been shafting the fans so hard it's like they were covered in baby oil and tossed into a Diddy party head first. Now, sorry, there was like something in my throat. So if you haven't been keeping up on all the drama that is South Park's move to Paramount Plus, well, here is basically the entire situation incredibly oversimplified in a few sentences. In 2019, South Park made an exclusive deal with HBO Max to stream the show. Then in 2021, South Park signed another exclusive deal with Paramount, which meant less South Park for HBO Max. HBO was not happy about this and would file a lawsuit against Paramount, which is still going on at the moment. But Paramount are now set to merge with Skydance, another major media corporation, right as South Park was set to begin exclusively streaming on Paramount Plus. So Skydance now has to approve all of the deals Paramount makes, and they come into the company and say, we don't like this deal with South Park, so we're going to change the terms. To which Matt and Trey then responded by threatening a lawsuit of their own. This has led to the release of South Park Season 27 being pushed back a couple weeks, the show remaining on HBO Max for the time being, and an uncertain future of where the show will even end up. And on top of all of that, it has been rumored that this move to Paramount Plus will result in another 12 episodes being removed from the streaming platform on top of the 5 episodes that have already been banned, leaving us with a whopping 17 banned episodes of South Park. And that's where we are now. And I think I speak for pretty much all the fans of South Park when I say this has been an absolute show and I just want more South Park. I guess I also speak for Matt and Trey because that's pretty much exactly what they said in the statement they released regarding this entire situation. Now, I'll be honest, I don't even fully understand this situation myself. I'm not the type of guy that wants to sit here and break down a battle between two corporate giants. I'm the guy who likes to talk about the things that he finds interesting and make it entertaining. So while this video will go over the major points of the situation for context, it's only going to be as much as is necessary to talk about the points I want to talk about. This won't be any kind of comprehensive breakdown of everything going on. If that's what you're looking for, I recommend Johnny Two Cello's videos on his channel Johnny Two Casual, where he goes into depth about everything regarding this lawsuit and what it could mean for the show. He also has a video on his main channel where he discusses the episodes that will potentially be removed, and I suggest you watch that if you want to fully understand what's going on. But the reason I'm making this video is because this whole situation has really annoyed me, especially the potential banning of new episodes, and I have a lot of thoughts that I really need to get off my chest. I just want to rant, and knowing that none of my friends or family would care in the slightest, I'll just do what YouTubers are best at and monetize the things that I should be sharing with a therapist. So let's start with what has become easily the most frustrating part of all of this. So South Park has over 300 episodes at this point, and for a long time now, 5 of those have been officially banned. Super Best Friends, Cartoon Wars Part 1 and 2, and 200 and 201. These have all been removed from streaming services and syndication for many years at this point, and it's all because of their attempts at portraying the Prophet Muhammad, terrorist threats. I've made an entire video breaking down that whole situation if you're interested. So, as the show was set to move to Paramount, we all knew that these episodes wouldn't appear on the platform. But a couple of weeks ago, a news story began to circulate claiming that when the show moved to Paramount Plus, a whopping 17 episodes would not be streaming on the platform. Now, I'm certainly not an expert in math, but upon hearing this news, I did pick up on something interesting. 17 is a bigger number than 5. I came to the conclusion that this meant they must be banning more episodes. There was a list that was floating around which supposedly contained the episodes that were going to be banned, so let's take a look at these. The list included Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride, Terrence and Phillip and Not Without My Anus, Pip, Super Best Friends, Jared Has AIDS, Simpsons Did It, Cancelled, Passion of the Jew, You Got F'd in the A, 2 Days Before the Day After Tomorrow, Trapped in the Closet, Cartoon Wars 200, 201, Chupacabra, and Sugar Cow. Now when I saw this, it immediately struck me as suspicious. I began looking into it and couldn't find any legitimate source confirming these claims. The only thing people were saying was that these episodes were filmed in countries where Paramount was already streaming South Park, like Canada and the UK, to which I immediately thought, This is America. These silly rules that other countries have to follow don't apply to us. We have freedom and democracy. First Amendment. Banning more South Park? What is this, some kind of communist country? Besides, a bunch of countries have banned a bunch of episodes of South Park for years, and that has never applied to us, as if they would ban more South Park. And then I went about my day as any good old American boy would. But then I got a message from John who said that there was some pretty compelling evidence to suggest that these episodes were actually getting banned. So as he breaks down in his video on the topic, what he did is go through the Comedy Central broadcast schedule to see if these episodes were still being syndicated, and wouldn't you know it, several of them were absent from the broadcast. Again, I recommend you check out his video if you want a more detailed look at this, but what he discovered is that several of the episodes from the list were not airing on Comedy Central, but some of them were still airing. So that did seem kind of compelling, but the main question for me is, why were these episodes even removed from the streaming service in the first place? At first glance, these episodes don't even have anything in common. But what Johnny figured out is that some of them do have a common theme, one that caused an episode of another show to be removed as well. So there's this show called Nathan For You that streams on Paramount. It stars Nathan Fielder, a comedian who goes around to failing businesses and tries to help save them. He does so in the most absurd ways possible, and it is a hilarious show. There's an episode where he finds out that the jacket brand he likes to wear promoted a Holocaust denier, which led to outrage from the Jewish community. So to rectify his sins, he creates his own jacket brand where the primary focus is reminding everyone that the Holocaust did in fact happen.
It was important to me that every single person in this brand shared in the company's core beliefs.
Big kitty.
So how many Jews died then from the Holocaust? 6 million. Okay, great. Let's sell some jackets. Okay.
And he even goes as far as to promote it in a local store with a display that a local rabbi helped design.
Definitely makes a statement. Yeah, definitely makes a statement. Okay. I want to follow your lead on this.
So then, in one of his new shows, The Rehearsal, Nathan learns that this episode had been removed from Paramount and gets direct confirmation from the higher-ups that it was due to Paramount's sensitivities regarding potential anti-Semitism. Now, this is especially ironic considering Nathan is Jewish, but regardless, that's the reason that they gave. And when you look at this list of supposedly banned South Park episodes, it's pretty clear that most of them were removed for similar reasons. So let's go through it. In Cancelled, the boys learned that Earth is actually an intergalactic reality show run by the Jewsians, an alien race who controls the intergalactic equivalent of Hollywood. I really doubt I have to explain this one. Passion of the Jew sees Cartman attempt to bring about the Fourth Reich after being inspired by the Passion of the Christ, and 2 days before the day after tomorrow, Cartman is constantly pestering Kyle to give him his Jew gold, which all Jews store in a little pouch around their neck. Chupacabra is all about the history of Jews, and in Ginger Cow, Cartman accidentally brings peace to the Middle
Yeah, they
East
were
through the
fairly
power of
anti-Semitic.
These are the ones that have the most obvious reasoning, but the other ones are a little harder to find. Both Big Gay Al's and the Terrence and Phillips special have jokes about the Holocaust in them. Trapped in the Closet had its own controversy with Tom Cruise and Scientology, which I made a whole video about. And Jared Has AIDS was actually removed from airing on Comedy Central for years following its release due to the extensive amount of AIDS jokes, so neither of those two are very surprising to see. The only ones I have absolutely no clue about are Simpsons Did It and You Got F'd in the A, which I honestly can't find anything that would explain their removal. And of course, the only one that makes sense to me is Pip.
I know why F'd in the A got removed. It's you do a line, I'll do a line, honey. You do a line, I'll do a line, babe. You do a line, I'll do a line. We'll fucking fight till the morning time. You do a line, I'll do a line, honey. You snort some K, I'll snort some K, honey. You snort some K, I'll snort some K, girl. You snort some K, I'll snort some K. We'll fucking fight all goddamn day. You snort some K, I'll snort some K, honey. That's why it got banned. I'm not kidding. Right on. And they probably got banned for that. I guarantee it. It was because that's like the foulest thing I've ever heard on television, almost.
because it's just incredibly offensive to have that many British people on the screen at one time. But obviously the majority of these episodes were banned for perceived anti-Semitism, with the executives at Paramount believing that anti-Semitism as a whole is on the rise due to the ongoing conflict with Israel and Palestine. Now, you're not watching this video to hear about my personal politics, so we're not going to go there. I'll leave that to the experts, the Twitch streamers. But what I'm more than happy to share my opinions on is censorship. So here it is. Censorship is bad. Crazy hot take, I know. But since the executives at Paramount obviously don't understand why this is bad, let me explain it in the simplest possible terms for them. South Park is a satirical show. The definition of satire is the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics or other topical issues. When South Park has Cartman lead the Fourth Reich or pester Kyle for his Jew gold, it is not because they are anti-Semitic. They are making fun of people like Cartman for behaving in this way. When they have an alien race based on Jews control Hollywood, they're not saying that Hollywood is run by the Jews. They are using stereotypes to emphasize how ridiculous it is to believe this. Just because they don't spell it out for you in the end like they do in Cupid Ye, an episode from the last season that directly points out the flaws in these conspiracies, doesn't mean that they are being anti-Semitic. They're making the exact same point, they're just letting the viewers put it together instead of spelling it out directly. So assuming you guys understand that, which might be too much to ask from these executives, now let's explain why censorship does far more harm than good. Let's think about it from the perspective of you, the executives. You believe that due to Israel's actions, there has been an increase in anti-Semitic beliefs, primarily conspiracies suggesting that Jewish people control all of the media to control the narrative around Jews as a whole, and specifically Israel. So you, the executives, who are primarily Jewish, decide that the way to get people to stop believing this is to use your platform to censor a comedy show, which is actually making fun of these same people for making jokes about Jewish people. Do you see the issue here? In an effort to silence the people who believe these things, you are doing exactly what they are accusing you of doing, therefore only strengthening these people's beliefs. And on top of that, you are creating a textbook example of the Streisand effect, bringing attention to a bunch of jokes that no one besides South Park fans have even thought about in years. And this is the issue with censorship as a whole. This doesn't only apply to this situation. In my opinion, censoring ideas because they are controversial or offensive only ever makes these movements stronger. Censorship makes martyrs. When people who already share these beliefs see that someone is being censored, they start to think, well, I mean, if they had to silence this person, they must be onto something. Think about people like Andrew Tate or Alex Jones, both of which were deplatformed and censored for their controversial beliefs. As soon as these people were censored, their movements only grew stronger. Censorship always makes everything worse, no matter what. The most effective way to fight back against potentially harmful movements is to criticize them publicly to show the whole world how dumb these beliefs are, like South Park did in the Cupid Ye episode. Sure, some people are going to believe what they want to believe no matter what, but it's much harder to build a case when the issues with a movement are laid out for anyone to see. Think about Flat Earth. Sure, there will always be people that will believe Flat Earth no matter what, but all of the reasons Flat Earthers are wrong are public knowledge. But imagine if NASA from the beginning was just deleting everything about the Flat Earth movement from the internet instead of showing the reasons the Earth isn't flat. People would start to think, well, why are they trying to cover it up if it's not true? And the following would grow significantly. I feel kind of ridiculous explaining such an obvious concept, but clearly the executives over at Paramount still don't understand this. I think the strangest part about all of this is the fact that Matt and Trey haven't come out and said anything about this. In the past, they have fought tooth and nail to try to prevent episodes from being banned, and the fact that they haven't commented on this yet is very out of character for them. So honestly, who knows if these episodes will actually be banned once the show moves to Paramount. Okay, so I just did that entire section yesterday when these episodes were still not on Paramount Plus internationally, but literally today, as I began writing the rest of the script, it has come out that all of these episodes, besides the 5 Muhammad episodes, have returned to Paramount Plus. So at this point, it seems likely that these episodes will be on Paramount Plus when the show moves there. Now, what I believe happened is that Paramount was absolutely planning on banning these episodes in the US, but due to ongoing contract negotiations, Matt and Trey most likely demanded that these episodes remain on the service if they want their show to be on Paramount Plus. Now, obviously this makes everything I said in this section kind of irrelevant, but I think the fact that they were even considering banning these episodes is important to mention because, like I said, censorship is always bad. And I'm sure there's a joke in here that could be made about the fact that these executives were willing to ignore this so-called anti-Semitism at the prospect of making a lot of money, but that would be in poor taste, so I'll leave it at that. But Matt and Trey most likely making these demands is a good place to segue into talking about the absolute shit show that is this legal battle. So as I mentioned in the intro, this all started when Matt and Trey signed exclusive deals for 2 different streaming services. The deal they signed with Paramount included a series of specials that would be streaming on Paramount Plus exclusively, 2 specials per year. So HBO is expecting to have 10 episodes streaming per season, but instead what they got was 6 episode seasons because the 2 Paramount Plus specials were equivalent in length to 4 normal episodes. Since these were specials and not technically episodes of South Park, they weren't included in their exclusive deal with HBO. Not to mention the fact that season 24 of South Park, the first new season to come out during the HBO contract, was only 2 specials in length due to COVID. So basically, HBO got really screwed over here, expecting 30 episodes over 3 seasons and instead only getting the equivalent of 16. Not to mention the fact that they decided to postpone season 27 and didn't air any new episodes in 2024. Matt and Trey actually made 2 of those Paramount specials about this whole situation called The Streaming Wars. I have videos breaking down both of those specials if you're interested. So HBO's parent company, Warner Brothers, filed a lawsuit against Paramount because, yeah, I wouldn't be too happy if I paid $500 million and didn't even get half of the expected product. This lawsuit is still going on, and it's been so long at this point that the deal with HBO has already ended and South Park should be streaming on Paramount. But following a ruling in the court earlier this year, it's not looking good for Paramount, so South Park is still on HBO Max. At first it was rumored that South Park might stream on both services as the lawsuit played out, then it came out that the show might not even stream on Paramount at all due to this merger with Skydance, and now it seems like it probably will stream on Paramount as negotiations move forward, but this is where things get really messy. So it seems like both HBO and Netflix are interested in having South Park on their platforms in the future as Matt and Trey continue to negotiate with these companies. Specifically, they were negotiating a 10-year deal with HBO to stream on their platform as well as Paramount Plus. This confused me at first because I thought the Paramount deal was exclusive, but I realized the only thing exclusive to Paramount was the specials. The streaming rights of the normal show were not exclusive. But with the new executives moving in from Skydance and taking over at Paramount, they began to meddle in these negotiations, specifically requesting that the new episodes be exclusive to Paramount for an entire year, and that their deal with HBO be shortened to 5 years instead of 10. Matt and Trey were clearly not happy about these new people at Paramount getting involved with their negotiations, as their media company Park County came out with a statement to Paramount basically saying they have no right to make these demands in these negotiations and threatening to sue Paramount over this. Now, all of this has taken place within the last couple of weeks as we prep towards South Park's Season 27 release date of July 9th. Then, about a week ago, it was announced that the season would be delayed until July 23rd. It seems like at this point, Matt and Trey are pretty fed up with all of this as they immediately released their first direct statement on the whole situation. Quote,
"Don't worry.
This merger is a shit show and
You're
it's
fine.
fucking up South Park. We are at the studio working on new episodes, and we hope the fans get to see them somehow." A beautiful statement which contained all of the eloquence we have come to expect from Matt and Trey. And with that, we are finally caught up on all of the major events of this complex lore, feeling only kind of lost, like I just tried to explain the FNAF timeline. So now the real question is, what does all of this mean for South Park? Well, to start, that statement from Matt and Trey is at least slightly concerning, considering the wording of "we hope the fans get to see them somehow" seems to imply that it's possible we won't see them. Now, realistically, of course, I think we will see them. This is more just Matt and Trey being a little melodramatic about it because they're annoyed, but still, it's a weird thing to say. And in their statement threatening to sue Paramount, they did say that if they didn't stop interfering, they may, quote, discharge any obligations they have to the public, which again sounds like it would effectively be a strike from South Park Studios. Now, the one positive thing that has come out of all of this is the fact that those episodes reappeared on Paramount Plus, because like I said, in my mind, that shows that Matt and Trey are moving forward in their negotiations with Paramount. But I really do think their statement kind of captures how all of us feel about this whole thing. They're tired of dealing with all these lawsuits and mergers, and all they want to do is make South Park, which is perfect because all the fans want to do is watch South Park and all I want to do is talk about it. I can only imagine how exhausted Matt and Trey are with all of this, being that they are so incredibly ambitious that it seems like it could be hurting them. I mean, over the past few years, they have signed all these deals, made the equivalent of 10 episodes of South Park every year except for last year, bought Casa Bonita and basically rebuilt the entire restaurant from the ground up, made a video game, which to be fair didn't seem like they put much of their time into, and are currently in the process of making a return to the big screen as they have been working on a film with Kendrick Lamar. And they've done all of this while having to deal with these lawsuits and mergers. So with season 27, I'm sure at this point they just want to get it out. Something else that's interesting is that with the release of the season 27 trailer, trailer, it seems like they had already done a lot of work on the season, even back when it released at the beginning of April. This is unusual because they usually make South Park on such a tight schedule with only 6 days spent on each episode. So the fact that they had so much done in April suggests that they might already have finished at least a couple episodes. Now, this is probably due to the fact that they only released a single Paramount Plus special last year, and they probably had already made a second one by the time all of this legal stuff really started to hit the fan. So many are speculating that they're going to turn that special into a 2-part episode to kick off the new season. Although I've also heard rumors from some people with connections that they've actually had the entire season finished for a while now. Obviously, I can't speak to the validity of these claims, but what I do know is that the trailer showed a lot more than we would usually get for a season announcement. But this is also kind of concerning for me. One of South Park's biggest appeals is their ability to stay topical since the episodes are made in such a short time frame. So if there were episodes that were made almost a year ago, will they already be outdated by the time they actually air? The trailer has a heavy focus on the whole Canada versus the US thing that was a huge news story a few months ago, but for the most part, it seems like all of that has settled down a good amount and no one's really talking about that. I mean, even the fact that we got a glimpse of Diddy in the trailer, while that case is arguably more relevant than ever, there has been some pretty major updates since they presumably made that episode. I hope that with this extra time, they've been able to go back and tweak the show to keep it more topical, because if there's one thing that would hurt the quality of the show, it's being late to an issue that's already been resolved. But honestly, I don't even really care right now. At this point, I'm just hoping we get to watch new South Park. Whether it be on Paramount Plus, HBO Max, Netflix, hell, they could even put it on Fubo and I'd sign up for a free trial.
It was on Netflix for a long time. I think they were happy there. It would have just been happy there, and I think they should have stayed there. Netflix should have been I think Netflix was a good enough company to keep all that stuff, but then they started selling to all these other ones who wanted to be their competition, and it's weird. It's just weird. Neat week. Gonna go on New World now and get that chest done because I haven't done that in a while. Gonna launch Grand Theft Auto. I should put arnica on these injuries I have on my fingers. Oh, good, a key. Okay. What, the UFC sucks now? I mean, didn't it always suck?
6,000 being held. Then you add in the fact that based on the
Did we watch
this
this?
Sarah Grace Patrick situation is crazy, with many questioning if this viral crying 17-year-old girl killed her parents for internet fame and attention. Donald Trump's now using tariffs to interfere in the criminal trial of the former president of Brazil, but it's also really bigger than that. As $2 billion in terrorism prevention funds have been held up, we've got Trump's war on FEMA putting American lives at risk, and Trump's alligator Alcatraz is horrifying and getting worse amid AI hoaxes and fake MAGA tours. We're talking about all that and much more on today's brand new Philip DeFranco show. You daily dive into the news, starting this Sarah Grace Patrick situation is crazy. So there's no reason you should have known about Sarah before this. She's a 17-year-old from Carroll County, Georgia. But for months now, Sarah's been posting videos on TikTok grieving her mother and stepfather who were killed in February. They're posting videos captioned, "What do you mean I can't call my mom?" and "Why me?" as well as longer ones with video of them saying, "They don't know it, but a year from now, me and my 5-year-old sister would find them wrongfully shot dead in our home and won't get to watch me graduate high school, see me walk down the aisle and couldn't even say goodbye." But after all of that, we got this press conference.
Sarah Grace Patrick has been taken into custody and charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault.
But they're apparently turning herself in after she learned there was a warrant for her arrest. And right now, you have the authorities saying, the potential motive, it's unclear.
We don't know what goes through the mind of a child who wants to harm their parents.
But here's what we do know. Back in February, you had officers responding to a call at a private residence where they discovered the bodies of James and Kristen Brock dead from apparent gunshot wounds. So their now 6-year-old daughter reportedly finding their bodies, and Sarah being the one who made the 911 call. And Sarah then also speaking at their funeral and, going online about how their deaths were impacted. But now, not only is she being charged, but she's being charged as an adult in the case. As far as where her father is in all this, we learned
Her father brought her up here this morning. She turned herself in. I can't imagine what he's going through, so my heart goes out to him as well.
Right, and with all this, there may be more to come soon, with the officials saying that more arrests could actually be made in the future as they're still investigating. Which, on the note of the investigation, you got many people going, how did the officials land on Sarah as a suspect? Well, they've only said so far that they have mountains of evidence, but again, nothing too specific. And right now, we're also saying that the family is reportedly cooperating in the investigation. But then also, a very interesting addition to all this is, as she was continuing to post about her family online, you got some true crime content creators claiming that Sarah actually reached out to them asking if they would look into her parents' case as it remained unsolved.
Why would you message me or any other true crime creator saying, "Hey, please cover this case," and then you wind up being arrested for it? I am in shock.
So that's made all of this even more disturbing for those following the case, with many wondering things like, okay, so if she did do it, was she doing this reach out, was she making these posts as a way to kind of deflect that she did it? Or could one of the potential motives be that she did it because she wanted some sort of attention like this? With some speculating that this could be kind of one of the most grotesque and horrifying ways to clout chase. So there, I have to stress, that is other people's speculation, and we have to see what's going to come from the investigation. But in the meantime, as we wait to see if anything else is uncovered, if more people come out with information, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts and reactions to this? But then, next up in the news today, we should talk about alligator Alcatraz. America's definitely not a concentration camp, but it just happens to walk like one and quack like one. But if you want to check out what the administration calls a detention center built in the middle of a Florida swamp for yourself, you actually don't even need to get picked up by ICE. Instead, you can check out Terry's tours.
Terry, but it's not even full of prisoners yet. But that's the exciting part. For a limited time only, you can claim an alligator for $44,547. You get it 45 I-47. You can claim an alligator, and once they eat an illegal, you'll be notified via app, and then you'll be sent a gift card to your choice of stores.
Now with that, I have to warn you, if you happen to be one of those people that just gets rock hard watching masked agents just scooping up people off the street, that is obviously a fake ad made with AI by Lysandra Vasquez. And it turns out that the whole point of that ad was to drive traffic to terrytours.com, which is
gonna go get some more wine. I'll be right back.
Take your country back one illegal at a time. And in digging through the site, you'll see things like links taking you to photos of Trump with Epstein, and also you have links to nonprofits that liberals often support, such as the World Central Kitchen, Planned Parenthood, and Climate Power. However, by the time someone stumbled across that, it's very clear that the whole thing, it's a joke to mock alligator Alcatraz. With the site even making it clear at the top of the page that it's satire. And for many trying to clown on alligator Alcatraz, it definitely feels warranted since its rollout has been, at the very least, controversial. Right, it's built at the site of a regional airport. It's expected to house around 3,000 to 5,000 undocumented folks. While that's a lot of people, it's not actually even close to alleviating the stress that ICE detention centers are feeling right now. Their facilities can reportedly hold 41,000 people, and as of June 15th, there are 56,000 being held. Then you add in the fact that based on the government's numbers, about 1,000 are deported every day, but the Trump administration has a goal of 3,000 arrests a day. And in using their math, you can see how quickly it'll get crowded. And when Alligator Alcatraz was being built, you had Trump praising the facility as a blueprint for what other states could do, saying, well, I think I would like to see them in many states, really many states. And, at some point, they might morph into a system, with them then praising the facilities as being nice, and adding, I thought this was so professional, so well done, it's really government working together. With that, the reason the facility was and is so controversial is more than just because it touches on the issue of immigration in America and who they're picking up. They've been terrorizing Home Depots, hitting schools, places of work, people actually going in for immigration appointments, but also because there have been accusations that it's built too quickly, cuts corners, and is inhumane. It reportedly was done in just 8 days, although local officials blamed regulations for making it so long. And photo ops from the facility show what kind of amounts to a giant aluminum tent filled with chain link, you could call them rooms, that are packed with bunk beds. And all of that is, it's in the middle of a Florida swamp, it's hot, it's wet, though you had officials trying to reassure everyone that it was perfectly safe and could actually withstand a Category 2 storm. But then we quickly saw videos of the place flooded, though I have to add an asterisk there, because the most viral video which showed the facility extremely flooded, that appears to have been fake. However, there are other examples of water seeping into the facility during a press conference due to a summer thunderstorm, which I've lived in Florida, I don't know if you know this, it happens almost literally every single fucking day in South Florida. So, there have been growing concerns of, well, what happens if something like big and meaningful hits the place? Regarding the first issues, you had the facility having to be quickly fixed because it was receiving its first batch of detainees shortly afterwards. And, let me tell you, it does not appear like things are going well. Obviously, being in a prison-like environment, it's gonna suck no matter what. But according to the phone calls, you've got people like Liemsi Izquierdo, or better known as the Cuban reggaeton artist La Figura, saying things are especially bad, with them telling local outlets things like, there's no water to bathe yourself. I haven't bathed since Friday. They don't turn the lights off. The air conditioning is below freezing. There's no medicine for those who suffer from mental health issues. They don't let you bathe. They don't let you clean your mouth. The mosquitoes are the size of elephants. And with them then going on to say that about 400 people are at the facility and that they're fed only once a day, which has maggots, and there's no way to tell what time is, and that they're only allowed outside for like 10 minutes. Or with him saying that to him it is clear that the facility wasn't ready, and then he and her in the background said, quote, they're all racist, they're all racists. And also that guy in the background seeming to have his own issues, with him later saying that he's from Colombia and he hasn't been given his mental health meds in days. So saying instead he's just been relying on his Bible to try and keep himself sane, but that was allegedly taken away too. La Figura and his girlfriend also claiming that he has papers to be here, but despite that he's still at this facility. Though also with that, I want to say that I'm not saying that he should or should not be held somewhere, because he was actually arrested after assaulting a man who was trying to repo a jet ski. But he's been adamant that he should be at the center of undocumented people because he's a legal permanent resident of the United States. Right? And then on top of that, officials apparently come to him almost daily and ask him to sign an deportation order, so it would be effective immediately. With his lawyer saying that it shouldn't be the case because in these situations, quote, the only entity that can strip a person of their residency is supposedly an immigration judge. And all of that as he's not the only one who claims to be in a similar situation, or saying that conditions are pretty bad. And actually, when local outlets try to reach out to ICE and CBP about it, they dodge the question. Instead, saying they can't actually answer that because the facility isn't run by them, it's run by Florida. And when they were asked, they reportedly didn't answer. And all of this is online. This controversial facility has been seen in very different lights. You've seen Trump supporters saying things like, I don't think anyone realizes how impressive Alligator Alcatraz is. The state of Florida built this 3,000-bed federal prison in 8 days. The director tells me it could have been done in 72 hours were it not for some regulatory delay. Now all the the state needs is DOJ approval to deputize the National Guard as deportation judges, and this will become the most efficient deportation center in American history. So that, as critics have called it a concentration camp and said things like it's sickening how much Trump and others have joked about people getting eaten by gators while out there. Though all of this says it's possible that this might become popular for the administration and we might see similar facilities popping up all over the U.S. But for now, we're going to have to wait to see how this continues to unfold. And then I've got more news for you in a second. But
you mean Auschwitz?
Sponsor. With that, say, y'all, summer is officially upon us and you need to get out. And we've been giving out $500 every week for over a year thanks to our sponsor at SeatGeek, and somehow some of y'all still haven't entered for free. The lineup right now is stacked. Lady Gaga, Coldplay, Tyler, the Creator, The Weeknd, Beyonce, Morgan
That's stuff from 10 years ago.
And it's been so cool to see many of y'all just winning the $500 SeatGeek Weekend giveaway and using it to hit up concerts, games, Broadway shows. I mean, y'all are out there living your best life. And so if you haven't entered yet, it takes like 2 seconds, and next week's $500 winner, it could be you. So with that, I'll say, for the uninitiated, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app with 28 million downloads and tickets to over 70,000 events, sports, music, comedy, theater, entertainment. For first timers, you download the app, scan the QR code, or hit the subscription and use code Phil for $20 off your first ticket purchase. But then also, and this is key, add code PDS to your SeatGeek account as well, and that gets you $10 off of any ticket and enters you for the chance to win the weekly $500 giveaway. No purchase required. That last one applies to anyone who has ever used SeatGeek. You can still add code PDS to your account, get you entered and $10 off. So hey, scan the QR code or click the link below and use code Phil and PDS and go make some memories. Then next up in the news, we're going to talk about how Donald Trump is now using tariffs to interfere in the criminal trial of the former president of Brazil. Trump saying he's going to hit him with a 50% tariff starting on August 1st. And that is another key thing, is he's also rolling out 50% tariffs on copper, threatening a whopping 200% tariff on pharmaceutical imports, and sending out letter after letter announcing his latest country-specific tariffs. These letters, if you take the time to look through them, they're virtually identical. They're like patronizing, kind of passive-aggressive, but ultimately sort of polite, except for the one addressed to Brazil's President Lula. Trump, in his typical introduction that we've seen so far, saying it's a great honor to send the letter, and instead letting Lula know right away that he prefers his predecessor. Writing, I knew and dealt with former President Jair Bolsonaro and respected him greatly, as did most other leaders of the country. The way that Brazil has treated former President Bolsonaro, a highly respected leader throughout the world during his term, including by the United States, is an international disgrace. This trial should not be taking place. It is a witch hunt, which is immediate. And regarding what he's calling a witch hunt, which is, by the way, witch hunt I think has to be Donald Trump's favorite word, aside from Jeffrey Epstein. We still talking about this guy? Huh? That, as you might remember, involved back in 2022, Bolsonaro refusing to concede defeat to Lula and baselessly claiming that the only way he could have actually lost was a result of election fraud. Then, a few months later, thousands of his supporters attacked the country's presidential palace, Supreme Court building, and House of Congress. So in 2023, the country's top electoral court ruled that Bolsonaro, he abused his power and cast unfounded doubts in the country's electronic voting system. And then with that, one, they banned him from running for office until 2032. In November of last year, the country's federal police formally accused Bolsonaro of attempting a coup. And then 3, in February, the country's top prosecutor filed an indictment further alleging that Bolsonaro plotted to poison his successor, shoot dead the Supreme Court justice investigating him, and reinstall himself as the country's leader. Notably, around the same time, the Trump Media and Technology Group, which is majority owned by Trump and runs his Truth Social site, they sued the Brazilian justice deciding whether or not to arrest Bolsonaro. By the way, 1 was also the same judge that Bolsonaro allegedly planned to assassinate, and 2 is the same judge that publicly clashed with Elon Musk over his refusal to comply with court orders to block certain accounts on X. And so with that lawsuit, you had Trump actually accusing the judge of illegally censoring right-wing voices on social media, though it was seen more as an attempt to pressure him on the Bolsonaro case. That said, though, we did also see Trump making the censorship claim again in his tariff letter, with him accusing Brazil of what he called insidious attacks on free elections and the fundamental free speech rights of Americans, with him specifically referring to the actions of the Supreme Court. And then beyond that, Trump included a paragraph with some of the same language that's in the other letters, saying if for any reason you decide to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise them by will be added to the 50% that we charge. And adding, please understand that these tariffs are necessary to correct the many years of Brazil's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, causing these unsustainable trade deficits against the United States. The deficit is a major threat to our economy and indeed our national security. Though then notably, Trump also added something that we haven't typically seen in the other letters, a warning that he was directing the U.S. Trade Representative to immediately initiate a Section 301 investigation into Brazil, which is basically just an investigation into trade policies thought to be unfair or in violation of existing agreements. And with all of that said, on the other side, as far as Lula, he apparently was not having it, with Lula sharing a statement on social media and his government's website taking each of Trump's claims point by point. Right, as far as the idea of interfering with with Bolsonaro's trial, you had him saying, judicial proceedings against those responsible for planning the coup d'etat fall exclusively under the jurisdiction of Brazil's judicial branch. And then on the censorship question, which I will say has been a subject of real debate in Brazil, you had him responding, in the context of digital platforms, Brazilian society rejects hateful content, racism, child pornography, scams, fraud, and speeches against human rights and democratic freedom. In Brazil, freedom of expression must not be confused with aggression or violent practices. All companies, whether domestic or foreign, must comply with Brazilian law in order to operate within our territory. And then finally, and possibly the most important as far as the reality of the situation, the meat and potatoes, you had him correctly pointing out that the U.S. doesn't actually have a trade deficit with Brazil. Saying statistics from the U.S. government itself show a surplus of $410 billion in the trade of goods and services with Brazil over the past 15 years. So then with that, he said any unilateral tariff increases will be addressed in accordance with Brazil's economic reciprocity. But ultimately, we are going to see what happens, and whatever happens, it's going to matter, because the United States is actually Brazil's second largest trading partner after China. And the value of Brazil's currency already fell more than 2% against the dollar after Trump's announcement. And then also, with everything that we're talking about, it's important to know that it's not a singular thing. Or something I think it's important to note is that Bolsonaro is not the only reason that Trump's mad at Brazil, because Brazil, it's part of the BRICS group of nations. It's the B. It also includes Russia, India, China, South Africa, and some other partners. On Sunday, BRICS issued a declaration condemning the U.S. increase in tariffs and the strikes on Iran, to which you had Trump responding that any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS will be charged an additional 10% tariff. And that is on top of the just generally confusing tariff situation right now. Because back in April, Trump rolled out that sweeping 10% tariff on nearly all U.S. trading partners. And then also announcing what he called reciprocal tariffs on certain nations that went as high as 50%. But then when the market plunged and everyone was like, what the fuck? Trump then put a 90-day pause on most of the tariff hikes, just keeping that 10% baseline tariff in place. Saying that the U.S. would then use that time to get better trade deals, and even claiming at one point that he would make 90 deals in 90 days. So maybe he meant 90 concepts of deals in 90 days, because 90 days ended yesterday, and so far he's only made 2 deals. One with the UK and one with Vietnam. Which is why instead of the tariffs returning, the White House then started sending out these letters on Monday to countries letting them know, hey, you actually have until August 1st to get an agreement in place. With Trump then starting to post the letters, with the first including letters to Japan and South Korea announcing 25% tariffs, separate from all sectoral tariffs. That then being followed by just a steady stream of almost identical letters outlining tariff increases ranging from 25 to 40% on goods imported from another country. Then today, besides Brazil, you had him targeting 7 other countries, including Iraq, Moldova, and the Philippines, just to name a few. Then, also separate from that, Trump said that he plans to introduce new tariffs up to 200% on foreign-produced pharmaceuticals and 50% on copper. Notably, there, when it came to drugs, he said he will, quote, give people about a year and a half before they go into effect. Those copper tariffs, he claimed that those would actually go into effect on August 1st. And actually, with that, we've already seen the price of copper, which is used basically in anything electronic, hitting a record high in the United States. And when you know it, one of the people that is cheering this on is Robert Friedland, a billionaire mining exec whose company is developing a copper mine in Arizona. As far as what happens from here, the unfortunate reality is we've kind of been trained to go, hey, we have to take this seriously, but also we have to kind of assume they're meaningless and may change at a moment's notice. With many just left in this really uncomfortable, confusing situation. Right? Is it a taco situation or a not taco situation? Because many of the markets, many world leaders, they kind of have seen Trump as the bluffer in chief, at least over a long period of time, often, creating a situation where there's a problem and then stopping the problem and then acting like he solved the problem. But who knows? Probably only Trump, and maybe not even Trump. And then I've got more news for you in just a second, but first, I gotta say, growing up, the advice was often trust your gut, and I've applied that throughout my life. But nowadays, the chatter isn't about trusting your gut, but what your gut health means for your immune system, digestion, and even your mental health. Well, you've got the internet stacked with companies making tall claims. There's one company that stands out for scientific integrity and transparency. That is today's sponsor, Seed. Or specifically, Seed's DS-01 Daily Symbiotic, the that saves my stomach from a long digestive meltdown. What makes DS-01 different is it's a symbiotic, not just a probiotic. It combines prebiotics and probiotics to support a healthy gut and overall health. And they bring the receipts with actual peer-reviewed research. Also, I'll say, not alone, right? This stuff has a cult following for a reason. It actually does what it claims. So if you're ready to cut through the noise and truly nurture your gut health, give DS-01 a shot, especially because Seed's giving y'all 25% off your first month, and you receive this 30-day supply of refillable glass jar and a travel bag. And after that, they send sustainably packaged refills. So if you're ready to upgrade your gut, scan the QR code or go to click that link below and use code FRANCO25 for for 25% off your first month plus free shipping. Seriously, your future digestive system will thank you. But next up in the news today, there is a question out there right now, and that is, why is FEMA holding up over $2 billion in grants to fight terrorism? And in fact, there are billions of more dollars in essential emergency funds that are nowhere to be seen as top Trump officials continue to call for the agency to be dismantled, even as it aids Texas flood victims. Right, so for important context here, since 9/11, FEMA has actually given out billions of dollars in grants to help state and local governments with security and counterterrorism. And those funds, they go to a number of key programs like boosting cybersecurity infrastructure at water and wastewater plants in Washington State and funding the salaries of cybersecurity experts in New Jersey. Right, and that, as well as a number of projects in New York, like paying for National Guard members to patrol the subway, increasing law enforcement at the northern border, and recovering bomb squads across the state. And understand, right, those are just some examples of this sweeping program. But for 2 months now, states have actually been blocked from applying for those essential programs because FEMA just didn't release the latest grant application guidelines. Right, it effectively prevented anyone from even applying for funding. And that, despite the fact that the Trump administration was literally required by law to release the applications in mid-May. So as a result, state officials across the country have directly raised very serious concerns with the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees FEMA. Last month, you had a coalition of associations that represent local and state officials writing a letter to DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, arguing that the grant delay hurts, quote, response and recovery capabilities across the country and puts critical infrastructure at risk. Just this week, you had New York Governor Kathy Hochul writing her own letter to Noem, where she said this lack of funding, it puts New York at a greater risk than perhaps anywhere else in the nation. Hochul specifically noting that the state has the largest Jewish community outside of Israel. While you have New York officials saying that, some larger agencies like the NYPD will likely have enough resources to plug the gaps that will emerge from the funding delays, smaller agencies that rely more heavily on federal funds are not going to be that lucky. So, for example, you had Jackie Bray, the commissioner of the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, explain that there is certain training for SWAT teams, bomb detection squads, and chemical or biological responses that would just stop happening, saying this is exactly the wrong moment to start cutting the funding that keeps our local emergency managers, counterterrorism teams, and targeted violence prevention experts function. But despite those very serious concerns, Noem and other DHS officials have refused to say when the grant application guidelines will actually be published so states can start applying. When asked about a possible timeline, you had a DHS spokesperson giving the classic response that we've seen so many times from this administration, saying that it hasn't happened because you have agency leaders trying to ensure the funding, quote, does not go to fraud, waste, or abuse, as in the past. Let's say, sooner than later they get out of their own way, they set this up. Once the counterterrorism grant guidelines are eventually released, there are widespread concerns that the Trump administration is going to withhold those essential funds from blue states to refuse to bend to the president's will and key priorities. And that's not just some unfounded concern. The administration has essentially promised that they're going to do that. Right? I mean, back in March, the DHS changed the terms and conditions for grants to require that all recipients cooperate with Trump's immigration enforcement efforts. So after 20 states filed a lawsuit arguing that the move was illegal and could cause irreparable harm, the Trump administration limited the terms to just certain grant programs. The Times then reporting that it's expected that those requirements would be included in the new guidelines for counterterrorism. But also, importantly, it's not just the counterterrorism grants that are being held up by FEMA. Reportedly, despite the May deadline to start the application process, the agency has also failed to open applications for what's been called an enormous suite of grants totaling billions of dollars. Grants that reportedly many states rely on to pay for basic emergency management operations. You got experts saying this delay seems to be totally unprecedented and there's no transparency about why it's happening. But what we do know is that this comes amid a broader effort by Trump to dismantle the agency entirely. Right? It's a goal that Trump has repeatedly reiterated, saying last month that he wants to phase it out after this year's hurricane season. And in addition to DOJ-led efforts that have resulted in FEMA losing almost a quarter of its full-time staff, the administration has also started to cut funding for a number of essential grant programs. With, for example, back in April, FEMA rescinding a grant program to help state and local governments reduce hazard risks, and that including hundreds of millions of dollars that have already been promised to recipients. Additionally, the agency has cut hundreds of millions of dollars in funding for flood mitigation grants and axed a program that would have given over $500 million to those efforts, which is a move that is especially notable given the recent floods in Texas that have killed at least 120 people. And last month, Noem started mandating that every single grant and contract above $100,000 receive her personal sign-up, which is a move that experts say will dramatically slow down the agency's massive multi-billion-dollar grant system. And now, as a result of all this, you have state and local leaders nationwide worried that they're not going to have enough money to plug the gaps caused by the delayed federal grants, especially for more rural and low-income communities that have smaller tax bases and fiscal reserves, as well as states like North Carolina, which is still recovering from Hurricane Helene, which federal grants make up over 80% of the state's emergency budget, and most grants are given to local agencies. And actually, some states have explicitly outlined how these cuts will hurt their residents. So, for example, leaders in Colorado are saying that many counties will need to cut essential employees who coordinate the state's emergency management response. And in Alaska, you have emergency officials saying they'll need to find alternative sources to pay their workers who help people impacted by massive wildfires that have burned nearly 500,000 acres this season. With those, of course, just being a few examples, and as we've talked about numerous times this week, all of these concerns about FEMA, they've only been heightened by the disastrous and tragic floods in Texas. But despite all that, we saw Noem once again renewing her calls for FEMA to be eliminated in comments that she made during a meeting yesterday. Which, isn't anything new, but it is kind of fucking wild that she's saying this right now while the agency is literally in Texas as we speak, providing essential services to flood victims. And especially given the fact that FEMA literally gave Texas nearly $20 million in the last fiscal year to respond to this exact kind of emergency. With Noem even noting that FEMA has provided important resources to Texas, but then going on to say federal emergency management should be state and locally led, and adding it has been slow to respond at the federal level. It's even been slower to get the resources to Americans in crisis, and that is why this entire agency needs to be eliminated as it exists today and remade into a responsive agency. But, incredibly important and notable here, you had reporting saying that the cuts made by Noem actually slowed FEMA's response to the Texas floods, with 4 different officials even going on to say that the agency immediately ran into major obstacles when they first launched their response. And there, specifically noting the rule that Noem personally review and approve all contracts and grants over $100,000. It's saying that low threshold strips the agency of autonomy that is necessary to respond to emergencies quickly. So, for example, once the floodwaters started rising, FEMA officials wanted to pre-position crews so they'd be able to respond as fast as possible. But they then realized they weren't able to do that because of Noem's rule. Anyway, these sources also saying that FEMA officials were unable to deploy a specific search and rescue team until Noem gave her approval there, but she didn't do so until more than 72 hours after the flooding began. So then with that, you had a DHS spokesperson pushing back, saying that Noem didn't need to authorize those teams because the department was using other DHS search and rescue resources. But then also beyond that, you had the sources reportedly saying that a request from Texas officials for aerial imagery to help search and rescue operations had been delayed because Noem had to approve a contract first. And all of that is callers have faced longer wait times at a FEMA call center because Noem hasn't approved a contract to bring in additional staff. With then, in response to these alarming allegations, you had a DHS spokesperson just reiterating the same statement about how the agency is rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse and is reprioritizing appropriated dollars. We did later see the department slamming that reporting on X, calling it a fake news lie and repeating the claim that the other federal assets were mobilized immediately. And so then all of this taken together, it just underscores the deep concerns about FEMA's ability to respond to emergencies now and in the future. So all of this is you have experts saying the real impact that we're seeing, it's not going to be seen until it's too late. And there, I'll say that's very likely true, not only here, but in so many different places. Right? Because when you're talking about the people that are preparing and responding, so many of them are invisible people. They are the people that you never think about until something goes wrong. Hey, for now, we'll have to wait to see how this plays out, though it does feel like we're just playing a dangerous game.
GTA 5 online. I can't order a taxi. Yeah, like, these guys don't ever come. Oh, I'm on a mission maybe that prevents me from using taxis, that's why.
Sorry, we can't make it.
Oh, maybe it's because I have to I have to follow the tutorial. Fuck, I didn't know. So, but I don't know where it is you want me to go. You want me to go to... Yeah, it's not Vinewood Club. It's like, oops. Cayo Perico. Premium Deluxe Motorsport. Let's go. Well, but no, but that's not it though. Like one of these, and I forget which one it is. Or no, see, it's not RC Bandito. They'll give me a free car with Warsaw cash and carry, I think. Look, the Batmobile. There, the Duke of Death. What else? I don't know what they want me to do next. There's like some symbol that they want me to go to, and I can't remember what it is. I'm gonna look at the symbols directly now, see if I see it. There it is. There, it's that one. There.
Excellent choice.
Wait, what? We're in Pacific Palisades. I lived there for a brief time. I remember this area very well, and that intersection too. I used to walk down past that intersection to the beach. And I felt very, very privileged. Oh, we're in Naples. Long Beach.
You. Yeah, you. Get in. Quickly. You good? You ready? All right. Come on, driver. Let's go. See. Okay. So this opportunity, it's big, my friend. This guy, his name is Faber. He's a banker. The banker. Every dollar of this fucking town, it goes through him. He's my guy. He's El Rubio's guy. Anybody who's in charge of anybody, their guy. And here he is now. He asked for you personally. I'm surprised it took so long. Now listen, just let me do the talking, okay? Your style of conversation, it's you know.
Ciao! I'm only here for 24 hours. If they're serious about this, they'll show me the property. How many buyers can they have in a state that pays 80% tax?
By the way, don't mention his fucking shoes. Okay. Knock, knock.
Ah, Martin.
Here he is. Hello, how are you, Mr. Faber?
I am well. Patricia, Miguel, they are?
Oh, fine.
Ah, I've heard your name from a number of my clients. You've made some of them a lot of money, directly and indirectly. To others, you're just, well, a blot on their accounts. Martin has told you about me? Well, fundamentally, I offer financial services. It's all very technical. Cheers.
Cheers.
Most financiers help their clients to minimize tax. I help mine pay just enough to keep the accountants away. Very important if you wish to enjoy all this.
Exactly.
A financial network such as mine requires a number of businesses who are willing to collaborate. I am offering you an opportunity to be such a partner. My people, your people, it will be mutually beneficial. Mr. DeAngelis here has compiled a portfolio of suitable possibilities, just small to begin with.
Yes, there are a couple we could start with.
I think perhaps the details can wait until I am out of earshot. Raf is one of my most trusted consultants. He will ensure that everything is running smoothly. And should anything stop running, well, I am certain you will tell me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Gentlemen, come on.
Okay.
Let's go. Great. All right, then. Thank you for your time, Mr. Faber.
Of course. Goodbye, Ralph.
Let your step, kid. Gracias. You know, Ralph, you should meet my son again. He could show you around.
We already met. Bahamas 2 years ago.
Dale.
Yes, sir.
So, businesses you want invested. These are legitimate enterprises, low profile, cash intensive. I found hands-on a car wash in Strawberry. You want to start there. Meanwhile, I'll run some background checks on a couple of others, potentially very lucrative if you decide to purchase them. Just run them, show them some love, you know? Just keep that cash flow moving. We need a steady, legit revenue stream. Then I get a tap on the shoulder from Mr. Faber. We mix in some cash assets off the books and money laundering.
You say it how it is, Mr. Matrazzo. I respect that. I do.
Old school. Boom. Anyway, if you choose to go forward, I'll fix what needs to be fixed. You get what I'm saying?
I got an Apple Watch today.
Mr. Faber says he wants you to be the boss, so hey, you're the boss. You got that? Okay, looks like we're here.
Yep. Beautiful.
Hey, just one more thing, you know, between us girls. You mentioned my boss's name to anybody? Anybody? We both end up like his last guy in LS. Dead, obviously.
Think it over, huh?
To be young and scared. Good luck. Vámonos.
Yes, sir.
Kitty. What's wrong? Kitty. You're fine. Hey, Kitty. Busy, Kitty. Hi. Car wash. Oh, geez, Kitty. I was busy. I'm sorry. I know you're angry at me. Yeah, like, I know you're, like, kind of bully right now. You're, like, annoyed with me. Can I call... a cab now?
The cab should be with you very soon.
I'm busy, Kitty. Oh, sorry. Hi, Kitty. Oops. Bear with me just a second, guys. Okay. I now have an Apple Watch. We needed this for my mother. Oh, yep. Hello. Cool. I have an Apple Watch now, and I got AirPods too. I got AirPods that I should charge, I suppose. How do you... Oh, I see how you charge the AirPods. Okay. I'm going to charge the AirPods. Yeah. I got Apple AirPods, too. There we go. These I'll plug into charge. There we go. Sorry. I would like to sync my new AirPods. Tap connect on the device. Okay. Here we go. AirPods connect. Oh, cool. The case is cool. Look, the case is really awesome. Oh, so, oh, they're at 40 and 66%, 40% for the things. So these are charging. I don't think I can get my phone to fast charge, can I? I don't think so, which is kind of annoying. No, I have a blocker. I can't fast charge this thing. Cool. I have an Apple Watch. Turn on. Yes. Yes, I would. It is 10:12.
Don't be black on the road, damn it!
I guess I want it a little tighter. Cool new tech, I guess, which is kind of cool. I want it a little bit tighter, like maybe there. Yeah, like there. Meow. But I'm busy, kitty. I'm busy. Loading the weather. Hi, kitty. I'm busy, though. I'm busy. Oh, here we go. Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Yeah, nice. Okay. I have a nice Apple Watch. I'll have to watch a video about understanding the watch and what we can do with it. Hi, kitty. Kitty, don't bang my mic. Don't bang my camera, please. Get out of here, kitty. No, don't get out of here, but get out from where you are right now. Yeah. Ah.
The news.
Stop. Ah, you're so annoying. Ah. Now I called for a cab. Did one come? Oh, kitty, you're so cute.
Should be with you soon.
But it never is. I think you're lying. See, the taxi never comes because it's like glitched or something dumb. Can I hail a taxi? Oh, kitty. Sorry, kitty. I can move it if you want. Sorry about that. There you go. Is that better for you? Well, cool. I've got an iWatch. Ah, get your butt out of my face, kitty. Ah. Hey, Siri, what's 12,104 times 10? Hey, Siri. Just bring the Apple Watch close to your mouth and make your request. There's no need to press the crown or say, sir. You can change this in Apple Watch settings. Continue. Okay. Look, I can ask my watch questions now. Why can't I get a cab in GTA 5?
Here's what I found.
Wow, I have like an AI on my wrist now, which is fucking dope. I'll get used to wearing it. Will this work? Yeah, it's kind of tight. I don't know. Maybe I want it a little looser, like the loosest it will go. Yeah, like that, and then we tuck. Yeah, and there we go. That's a loose watch that can spin around. Cool. Back to clock. Wow, I'll have to get used to I'll have to get used to it, but cool. I have an iWatch now. All right. What will I do? I was hoping to see a cab or something, but I guess not. Nope. And I really don't want to drive myself in this stupid game. Hi, kitty. I'm sorry, I'm just distracted today. Lots of stuff going on. Bounty of $3,000 has been set on you. What do you mean a bounty of $3,000? But you could just steal cars and bring it to Y or whatever.
At last! I've got
Load
you.
YouTube.
You know, you are a very hard person to reach. But then, so is Yusuf Amir.
Load YouTube.
It's a very special occasion. The meeting of titans. Now, let me open the kimono and show you my business. I want you to invest in a partnership. There is a chain of salvage yards going into administration. Buy one of them, and it will be the start of something very profitable. Well, come on. What more do you need to know? Let's pull the trigger. Come on, baby. Let's hustle. Let's grind. Let's make some paper. I'll be in touch.